What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Vanguard. Got a great live stream for you today, our monthly Q&A. So we're going to be answering questions from everyone today from the chat, but priority to our patrons. So some of our supporters on Patreon have sent in questions that we've screen capped and put in a special logo so that we can shout out our patrons. So yeah, we'll be answering those first and then getting to everyone else's. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Appreciate everyone showing up in the chat. Really appreciate seeing everybody. What's up? What's up? How you doing, Zach?
Pretty good, pretty good. Another one of this is like our most laid back, most chill stream that we do basically every month. It's one of the ones that Gavin and I both look forward to. Basically just us, chilling with the community that we've all created together on the Vanguard. Pretty good stuff. All of our, Vanguardians, as we always say, patrons or not, you're all comrades in our heart. We're all Vanguardians. But yeah, I guess we can just kind of go ahead and get this show on the road. We'll kick it off with a couple of Patreon questions, and then we'll just get the ball rolling. And if you guys have any good questions from the chat, we'll obviously make sure to get those as well. But yeah, let's get the show on the road.
We got Jack Dorsey in the chat. What's up, bro? Yeah, before we get into the patron questions, let's quickly shout out the patrons themselves. Thank you so much to everyone supporting the show on patreon.com/the Vanguard channel. Support is genuinely appreciated. And obviously one of our perks is this Q&A. Obviously our patrons get priority in it. So yeah, we're going to be answering questions first and foremost from our patrons today. Something we do on a monthly basis. You guys can send in your questions, and on a stream like this one, we'll respond to them again before everyone else. So good stuff. We also give our patrons access to our Discord server, early access to our book club episodes, and a shout out at the beginning and end of every live stream and at the end of every video too. So lots of cool stuff here, guys. Again, we'll definitely try to get to everything in the chat, all the questions in the chat. And if it's a super chat, then we'll absolutely 100% get to it. So don't worry about that. If you have a really burning question and you're not a patron supporter, you can ask it via super chat as well. We will definitely 100% get to those. So yeah, let's jump right into the patron questions though. Let's see what's up over here with the first question. Oops. Hey, here we go. Suzanne Stone. Thank you so much for the support, Suzanne. Really genuinely appreciate that. And thank you for the comment here. Suzanne says, I just want to thank Zach and Gavin for keeping me both informed and entertained. You fill a specific lefty podcast need and do it well. You guys manage to be hilarious and still serious at the same time while informing me about what's going on and which of my other favorite podcasts I have to check out that day. As a lefty 68-year-old socialist boomer, you have to give me credit for thinking at the same speed and craziness as Zach. Rock on, boys. You're doing a great job. I'm happy to continue my support. Well, thank you so much, Suzanne, even though it's not a question, so there's not really an answer to it, obviously. I just want to say thank you so much for the support, and we're genuinely really glad that you're enjoying the show. Regardless, it means so much to us that people actually find value in what we talk about and the discussions that we have here. So just a genuine huge thank you for that and for the support as well. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for that Patreon support. And yeah, obviously there's no question there for us. So, but wanted to shout you out anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys are just tuning into the live stream, welcome. Make sure to hit that like button to help promote the stream and the algorithm. Really appreciate that. YouTube censorship is definitely ramping up, and they're definitely making it harder for channels like ours to succeed. So make sure to hit that like button. Again, it does help promote the stream and the algorithm if you're enjoying the live chat and the conversation. But yeah, let's go on to the next question. Let's see what's up over here. Okay. Let's telling me that my system is running out of application memory. Okay. Thank you. Hopefully that stops popping up. Yeah. Go away. All right, Zach, you might have to hold this down for just 1 second.
That's no worries. I'll just kind of react to some stuff in the chat. Yeah, if anybody has any questions in the chat that you guys just want to throw up for me while Gavin is taking care of that. Gavin, do you want to go ahead and throw your mic on mute?
Yeah, sorry.
Sweet. Yeah, so we can go ahead and get into some of those. Let's see, Jack Dorsey, Vanguard team, anybody like house or techno? I would say that Gavin and I are pretty fans of pretty eclectic varieties of genre. Certainly we have techno bands that we really like, electronic bands that we really like. We could give you the standard, obviously we both really like the great, Daft Punk, obviously, got to say that. Boards of Canada, got to say that, right? As far as, electronic music goes. It's not something that I spend most of my time listening to, although there are certainly like electronic producers that I really like to see. Gavin and I are going to go see this guy Flaming Oasis soon. He's obviously a DJ with a very electronic heavy vibe. So that's the kind of stuff that we listen to. Do we listen to Dead? Is that the Grateful Dead? Gavin's way more familiar with the Grateful Dead than I am. Big Grateful Dead fan. I don't know if you have anything to say about that really quickly.
Looks like I was able to resolve my computer issue, so I think we're back. But yeah, definitely love the Grateful Dead, if that's what you're referring to. One of my favorite bands of all time, has been for my entire life. But yeah, I think we can get back to the patron questions now. Are you guys part of the New Left podcast? Not sure what that is, but no, we're not. We are a podcast that could be considered part of the New Left, though. So again, not 100% sure what you're referring to. But yeah, let's get back to this question here. God damn it. Here we go. Hammock Lady asks, it's the full-time job these days trying to figure out who our comrades are. I took special note of which YouTubers neglected to make a video on AOC's disappointing Iron Dome vote. Breaking Points and Secular Talk posted one today, but Humanist Report, Majority Report, David Pacman, and Hassan Abi have all remained predictably numb. And Hammock Lady did follow up in the comments and say that she actually saw that Hassan did put up a video, so to exclude him. And obviously, we did a video about Hassan's video. And she says, I know you guys have figured this out for a long time, but those of us who are struggling to make sense of the drama, it's always a good idea to take note of what these TYT affiliated streamers are not talking about as much as what they are talking about. Although I was surprised that David Dole chimed in and expressed his dismay with her vote. Do you think you could be changing his mind? I know I, for one, would welcome all defectors. Yeah, thanks so much for the comment, Hammock Lady. Really appreciate that. And definitely interesting observation on which channels have, discussed the Iron Dome vote versus which ones haven't. I certainly thought it was a very important and worthwhile discussion to have. And just another example of AOC in particular's cowardice in the face of Democratic leadership and in the face of her potentially changing district demographically. So, another sign of cowardice and refusal to seriously challenge the political establishment and the mainstream thought when it comes to Israel. So yeah, I thought that was, worth talking about. And you're very correct that sometimes it's just as important to take note of what people aren't talking about as what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And, look, we'll give credit where credit's due to anybody, right? Obviously, we've had disagreements with David Dole, but we probably agree with him on a lot of other shit too. So, whenever anybody, makes the right call, we'll be like, yeah, you made the right call. Is he going to radically alter his, positions across the board on his show? Or will he default to what, has typically been the theme of, more or less kind of defending the squad and prioritizing on, other kind of things? Probably so, but you're right. If he does decide to, kind of take a more stark, scorched earth approach to the squad, then I would celebrate that as well. And, I don't hold any ill will towards any other of these fucking commentators. We just disagree on a bunch of shit. So yeah, thank you for the Patreon support and thanks for the good question. Yeah, for sure. Which one? Oh, good to see you here. Hey, fellas. Seth Manzel is an anti-war hero. Don't tell him I said that. You should get with him about the Coffee Strong Cafe he ran in Washington, how much he did with very little, and have him expand on his red views. That's interesting. I'm not familiar with that guy, but we'd be happy to check him out. He's an Iraqi war vet and is from Omaha, Nebraska. Oh, so he's an Iraq war vet from Omaha, Nebraska. Those guys have lots of fucking guns out there. Well, we live like 3 hours from Omaha. I've been there many times. So it's Gavin. We should ask him about it, and I think his experience would help you guys on your mission. There are lots of guests you've had on from Washington that I've crossed paths with. Thanks. I've really enjoyed catching this stream. So it doesn't look like there's a question in there, but appreciate the shout out and guest recommendation, Julie. We really appreciate your support. And yeah, we do live close to Omaha, Nebraska. So if we can work something out, that would be tight. Yeah, let's see here. Let's see. Do you guys live close to legal weed? Not close enough. Hopefully, we will soon have legal weed recreationally in Missouri. That's something that people are pushing really hard to get on the 2022 ballot for a general election vote. That will pass almost certainly, just like it always does. I don't know if legal weed's ever lost when it's been put up for a vote on a state level for like up to the general populace to decide.
It did in Florida when they voted on it, like back in the early days, maybe like half a decade or more ago. But I think if they had another vote, it definitely would succeed.
Yeah, so pretty common to pass. People in Missouri are, it gets a rap as a red state, but it definitely has some more libertarian streaks here. People are, pretty ambivalent towards that side of things. So hopefully at that point, we will have statewide, um, legal cannabis. Right now, we just have medical, which recently passed. I think in 2018 was that when it passed for the first time, Gavin? Yeah. So that we're part of that whole process. We're in the Midwest though, which has started to see changes in that capacity. Illinois obviously recently passed, allowing people to buy weed there. And that's actually been really interesting because they fucked it up really bad in Chicago. Gavin and I were there not too long ago, realizing just how fucking horribly the permits for dispensaries had been passed out in Chicago. You'll get like the only fucking dispensaries you can go to in Chicago are like on the north side or like the west side, right? For anybody who knows Chicago, that those are the most affluent areas of Chicago, right? You're going into the bougier areas, not a lot of access around like family homes, right? Which typically are on the south side or so far west that they're in the suburbs. The west side of Chicago is kind of a toss up if it's a lot of it's been really bougieized in the last couple of years. But anyway, if you're ready to go, we can get back to the actual question.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Having a little bit of computer issues. Nothing until I go live as usual. So anyway, sorry about that, guys, but we should be back and good to go. Let's move on to this next question, and we'll try to get to some more in the chat here in a minute too. So don't stop, interacting in the chat. But yeah, let's take a look here. Oh, I just want to say thanks, Julie, for the question. Really appreciated that. So glad that you're enjoying the show, and yeah, we'll definitely check that out as well. But yeah, let's move on. William Gibson, a classic question. This is a great one. Donut or cookie? For me, it's definitely donuts. I like cookies, but I don't really get that excited about them. To be honest, most baked goods, I don't really get all that excited about. I like frosted sugar cookies. So if you're talking about a frosted sugar cookie, then absolutely, I'll choose that 10 out of 10 times. But pretty much anything else, even chocolate chip, not necessarily terribly enthused by. I just think they're kind of overrated unless they're like really fucking good, but like 9 out of 10 times they're just dry and shitty. So yeah, definitely donut. That's not to say donuts can't also be fucking terrible. They can. But if I'm talking just like a mid-tier donut versus like a mid-tier cookie, I'll probably definitely go with the donut. And generally it seems like there's more interesting stuff going on in the world of donut making than there is cookie making. It seems like the same like 5 cookies always get trotted out, the peanut butter, fucking snickerdoodle, chocolate chip. It's like I don't want any of that.
Yeah, I definitely would say that I'm a hardcore donut guy. I mean, well, I wouldn't call myself a hardcore donut guy. I'm just way more in donuts corner in this particular debate. I'm not a fence sitter. I go hard on either side. And some of the best desserts I've ever had have been donuts. There's this, my girlfriend's family's from LA. When I went to go visit them, there was this fucking amazing place where they do it with like loaded with like fresh strawberries. And it's this like big open fucking thing. One of the best desserts I've ever had in my fucking life. Mr. Donut is what I think that place is called. But anyway, yeah, my mom, although I will say my mom's chocolate chip cookies are also one of my favorite fucking desserts, but that's so like, pretty generic. Everybody likes their mom's chocolate chip cookies or whatever you like grew up eating as a baked good from your mother. So those would be my 2 answers, which are basically non-answers.
Yeah, I do love a good donut though. Again, not that all donuts are good, but really good donuts are really, really good. Like there's this place that we go to in Kansas City called High Tides that has great coffee and donuts, and they make some of the most incredible donuts ever, like coconut rum and berry hibiscus, and just great stuff. Like delicious donuts, really elevating the art, in my opinion, beyond just what would normally be expected. But yeah, lots of good stuff. I'm going through the chat to see if anyone has anything.
Oh, this guy somebody really wants to know if we've ever taken acid before. I think the answer is obvious if you've ever listened to this fucking show. I've only actually done acid one time though, and it was with Gavin.
Now you know. Radical leftist agenda. I think she's referring to the.
Oh, she's asking if you like the sugar cookies that are frosted that taste like cupcakes.
Oh, like the classic frosted sugar cookies that you see at like the grocery store. Yeah, those are okay. I used to like them a lot more when I was a kid. I'm talking about more like homemade, like really good sugar cookies. Like there used to be this coffee shop. Well, there still is this coffee shop that I used to go to every single day, and they had the best sugar cookies, and I would eat them every single morning. It was one of my favorite routines. It was my breakfast essentially, even though that wasn't very healthy. I devoured those sugar cookies. They were freshly baked, perfectly frosted, everything I like, and then they got rid of them, and it's just I've never been able to fill that void in my life. To be completely honest, I'm still searching for that sugar cookie shaped hole to be filled in my heart. But yeah, the ones that taste like cupcakes, the like store-bought ones, they're okay. But generally, I just kind of it tastes like fifth grade when the teacher's like showing a movie and you get handed out like snacks. That was usually one of them, you know? That's what it tastes like to me. It tastes like fifth grade. That's not necessarily something I want to relive. So, but yeah, I appreciate that. Thoughts on Kyle's flirting with Crystal on his show? I don't know if you're referring to a specific example. I definitely have seen that happen before. I know some people have even speculated that they're like dating. So, you know, who knows? Who knows? Definitely interesting stuff, though. I know that Kyle has talked about how he now does have a girlfriend, or he is in a relationship, because he was like, my life is so much better now, or whatever. So maybe it's with Crystal, bro. Maybe it's with Crystal, but that's for the real TMZ to find out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, who cares, right? I hope they're both happy.
You don't care about this, Zach? This is the most pressing issue facing the nation. But yeah, let's see. Okay, I guess Jack Dorsey wants us to answer this question really bad, so we will talk shit. Bruh, talk about Jackson Hinkle's debate with Dylan Burns. So this was an interesting debate. I didn't watch the entirety of it. I watched the first bit of it. And generally, I would say that I agree with Jackson Hinkle that the U.S. military, or the U.S. in general, should not be providing additional armament, additional funds militarily to Taiwan, because I do think that's a very clear escalation with China, and I think it sends an obvious signal. I don't think it's really it's not really our prerogative to get involved in every situation around the world that needs our help necessarily. That's the same reason why I think it was the right thing to pull out of Afghanistan, right? So generally, I agree with him there. That being said, I don't know if it was necessarily the best debate performance ever. And I'm not talking as someone who has done a lot of debates myself. I'm not an experienced debater. I have never really done a formal debate on this channel. I mean, I have debated our guests, but like I've never gone into a debate. So I don't want to be too judgmental as someone that himself has not debated a lot. But I did think it was a little bit odd how seemingly from the start of that debate, Jackson Hinkle was like yelling at Dylan and really just aggressively making his points in an almost unnecessary way. And don't get me wrong, I've also been guilty of that. I'm sure you guys remember the Lee Camp interview, but like I don't know, it seemed like it was off the gate, like he was just pissed off and screaming at him, and I was like, chill, dude, what the fuck? But that being said, it was an interesting one. Did you have any thoughts on that, Zach?
Well, I just think it's so fucking hilarious that Jackson Hinkle is like obsessed with becoming a tanky now, thoughtlessly just fucking parroting whatever line about China he thinks is going to get snaps for him in his comment section. Like, I think that's the most fucking hilarious thing. Like the Surfs, who, shout out to Lance, he's a good guy. We don't always agree. He put out this hilarious clip that Gavin showed me of fucking Jackson Hinkle screaming "Fuck DSA! This pin that I'm wearing just fucking disgusts me. Send me a fucking communist me." It was so fucking cringy, and I don't know if it was supposed to be satire. I don't think it was. It literally came off it's just so cringy. And this whole stuff oh, China's never imperialized anywhere. It's just completely bullshit, right? Just look at Taiwan. Look at Hong Kong. If you try and make some cockamamie fucking argument that Taiwan does, the people of Taiwan don't deserve to have sovereignty, that China's allowed to fucking, do whatever they want because this geographical area is their property. I want to know how you feel about Puerto Rico. I want to know how you feel about Guam. I want to know how you feel about the U.S. Virgin Islands, right? That's U.S. imperialism, right? Hong Kong. Yeah, that's China imperialism, okay? How are you going to be well, actually, the British owe Hong Kong to China? This is a fucking trading card game, and people's lives don't fucking matter. Gavin and I stand with oppressed people who are seeking sovereignty every single fucking where. I don't care if they're opposing China. I don't care if they're... I don't care, right? I don't care if they're opposing the United States. People have the right to dictate their own future. People have the right to establish their own governance. And, we stand with the fucking people that want to govern themselves. And that's not a CIA talking point. You can understand that the United States does sow disinformation, right? That happens, of course, all the fucking time, right? That is obviously true. And you can still understand that China does things that are wrong. No nation state is good. They're all bad. Right. So when you try and make one look out to be like the superhero, like this is how communism works, this is how the like leftism works, it just debases our entire project over here because it runs all serious people like far away. It forces them to run away from you.
Yeah, no, that is super true. And I'm definitely not denying that at all. I think it's ridiculous when people want to act like they're super anti-imperialist, but then they'll go on to defend everything that China's ever done. Like, obviously, I would never advocate for a war with China. I don't think we should even be increasing tensions or escalating in any sense with China. I don't believe in interventionism whatsoever. That being said, we don't have to apologize for the fucked up things that China is doing in the same way that we acknowledge and call out what the U.S. is doing that's fucked up. We should do that for other countries too, especially other nuclear armed global superpowers, countries like China. You know, not that there aren't good things about China too. You know, they have great transportation infrastructure, for example, and lots of other, you know, aspects of their quality of life in their country that probably outweigh ours here in America. But again, I don't think there's any reason to like simp for another state. But that's just me. You know, I'm not like a foreign policy expert. I generally try not to make like any super, you know, bold statements when it comes to that stuff, because I just don't want to say anything that's incorrect. But that is how I'm feeling.
Right on.
Yeah, let's move on to some more some more patron questions. Did want to get to a few more of these, but appreciate the engagement in the chat. Let's see. Good evening. Question. I would like to know what you think of the 2022 election, and would like to know what you and Zach's prediction will be going into it, and if there are any mayor's races that are going to be impacted by the election. Will you be doing any live streaming of the elections in 2022 and having a panel to talk about it? So thanks so much, Daniel, for the question. Really genuinely appreciate that. And it's a very good question. The answer is, yeah, of course, we're going to be streaming about the elections in 2020 and having panels about them. We're definitely going to be covering the midterms pretty intensely over here at the Vanguard. And yeah, we'll definitely have on some candidates and some different people with expert opinions on the matter to give their insight as well. But yeah, overall, I'm not really sure about mayor's races. I imagine that similarly in Obama's midterm elections, so 2010, when the Democrats got absolutely wiped out across the country, I imagine, honestly, something like that could happen again, very likely, especially if Biden bungles this infrastructure package, as it seems like he is. You know, if there's no significant piece of legislation passed that really improves people's lives in this country, then absolutely, I think that the Democratic Party will suffer electorally as a result, and that could very much so manifest in the, you know, way of mayor's seats being lost to the GOP and, you know, basically candidates across the country.
Yeah, obviously we'll continue to cover that. And as far as mayor's races go, the only one that I'm like super like fingers crossed on is the India Walton race in Buffalo. I'm hoping that she's able to pull it out. I think she was actually just brought on Bad Faith podcast, so people can check that out as well if they're looking to, you know, get into some more mayoral races. She's probably one of the best as far as the country goes.
Yeah, absolutely. India Walton is definitely someone I'm keeping an eye on, and I really hope she wins the election, despite the fact that her opponent is essentially cheating and is going to remain on the ballot, even though she already defeated him. So that's crazy, and I forgot about her. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that. But thanks so much, Daniel. And yeah, we're definitely going to be covering the 2020 elections more so going forward. And yeah, you can look forward to some of that content coming soon. Do you want to read this next one, Zach?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stephen Pendleton, for the 1999. Really, really appreciate the donation. That helps out so much. And yeah, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I think that's Steven, but yeah.
And what'd I say? Stephen. Thanks, Steven.
Curious if any updates after the recent Zoom court about the van. Also interested to learn what the plan is for the first underground reporting to take place and how can support it would be willing to make an extra contribution to help support expenses on the ground reporting trips. Maybe could set up another tier on Patreon. Yeah, so we actually recently won our court case, right? We have the paperwork. You know, our van is basically good to go. So we'll be registering it, getting it on the fucking road. Gavin and I will finally get our trailer out. Obviously, these things don't happen overnight. So just bear with us. We're just two dudes. We're running, you know, this show. We're planning big things for the future, and we're just trying to work it all out day by day. But yeah, good things are coming. It's going to be a little bit difficult getting new content out over the winter, right? A lot of people are starting to, it's going to get cold as shit, right? And Gavin and I are not trying to sleep in our van during the winter if we can avoid it as much as possible. So that'll be the time that we're kind of getting everything off the ground finally, so we can hit the ground running in the spring and be in full action by 2022 when the next election cycle really takes off for the midterms. But that's kind of the game plan. Obviously, we appreciate any support that anybody can offer us over Patreon. And obviously, the van will become a bigger expense, right? On the ground reporting is really expensive. It's also really intimidating. As we work to get that done, yeah, we'll definitely appreciate any help and any contributions that you guys can make. Obviously, we know a lot of people have been supporting us for a long time, and we're really excited to get the band on the ground and kind of show you guys what our brainchild has always been. Basically what we've always been working towards here at the Vanguard is this kind of a deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much for the question, Reskin. Really appreciate that. And I'm glad you're keeping track of the van journey and looking forward to that van content, which, as I've assured you many times, is on its way. Our van is pretty much up and running. We need to just, go through a few more steps. We need to go to the DMV, get some paperwork taken care of, and then essentially we'll be able to take it out on the road. So we're hoping to start bringing you guys content sooner rather than later. Although, like Zach said, it is going to be winter, so it might be a little trickier to do the kind of on the ground stuff that we really want to do. That being said, we might try to get out like a short investigative documentary piece to you guys, maybe sometime around November, if possible. We're thinking about doing a video about commune living, communism in its truest form. So we're excited about that. And we have a lot of other ideas too. As for that tier on Patreon, that's actually a fantastic idea and something we very may well decide to do. That would be a great way to help fund the van trips. And, maybe we could call it like producer or something like that. So people that chip into that level are really, really, in a true sense, producing the content, So yeah, that's very possible. And thanks for the suggestion. It definitely will require a lot of expenses. So we're definitely thinking about that kind of thing too. It's not, cheap to run a vehicle, especially a Sprinter van. It takes diesel and all that stuff. So yeah, lots of good stuff coming though. And we're super, super excited about that. Oh, this is a good one for you, Zach.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the unpopular guy for a little bit because I too have been following I've been following cryptocurrency for a long time. So I'll just read the question, right? What are your thoughts on cryptocurrency, specifically how it relates to geopolitics, right? One world currency, that sort of thing. Look, I'm not sure what your position is on this fuzzy logic, and I am fucking far from an expert, right? I think that as far as Bitcoin and any of these kind of cryptocurrencies are concerned, they really don't meet the fucking definition of currency to me, right? Because they lack the stability that they would be that would require them, right? So it would be really hard for me to try and buy something with a stock that I have in Walmart, right? It would be really hard for me to go to the shoe store and be like, hey, I have 3.8 shares of Amazon. Can I ball out here for the afternoon? Because those things are always changing, right? And they're actually cryptocurrencies values is changing a lot more rapidly than that. And it's basically a storage of value, right? So a lot of people who are trying to sell you on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, those sorts of things, what they're selling you on is, it's, this is going to increase in value, right? But we kind of know that's kind of like snake oil salesman here on the left, right? It's like, keep passing the bag along to somebody else and then you'll make money. And then at the end of the day, the person that's holding that bag, when everybody else sells and bails, that person gets exploited and screwed. So as a leftist, I have a problem with that. The other problem that I have is with cryptocurrency. Let's use Bitcoin for an example because it's the most popular, right? There are a finite number of Bitcoins that are going to be able to be produced. Once they are all mined, that means there is a finite number of currency left. That means you cannot print more money to circulate once it's done. This creates a problem because whales, people who have a lot of US dollar, the actual world currency right now, can band together, buy up all of that cryptocurrency, and now they're in charge of how much that Bitcoin is worth, right? They'll set the value. They'll release ownership of Bitcoin or take it away to have permanent control of the way that Bitcoin is valued in the marketplace. And we've already seen this when Goldman Sachs, if you guys remember a couple of years ago, there was a huge pump and dump with Bitcoin. It shot up to the sky and then it tanked again. And that was because a bunch of Wall Street hedge funds had realized that it had kind of broken into the societal nomenclature, Bitcoin, for the first time. People were like refinancing their houses and buying it. There was a big hysteria about it. And then the value crashed because all the investors pulled out once they had built their bubble. So that's another thing. It also caused a disaster for El Salvador when they tried to unroll it as a national currency, basically saying that you have to legally accept Bitcoin as your currency if you're going to be a vendor in El Salvador. They even gave people in El Salvador, a little bit of money in Bitcoin to encourage it. That use, it caused a bunch of problems. People's wallets weren't working. People's, coins were being deducted from their wallet, but not being sent to the vendor. It's just been a disaster. So those are just a few off the top hand criticisms that I have.
Yeah, no, that's a very good spiel on Bitcoin. I have to say that I'm not nearly educated about the subject to have a really good take on it. Unfortunately, I'm just a total dumbass when it comes to stuff like Bitcoin. I don't really even understand, to be frank, all of that much of it. But it sounds like some very valid points coming from you, Zach. So there's my contribution to the question. But genuinely appreciate the comment, Fuzzy Logic. Really appreciate that. But I will say, as one thing on Bitcoin, the one person that I think does have a pretty decent take is Aria DeMezzo, who we've interviewed on this show. She was like a anarchist candidate for sheriff that was running on like fuck the police. She's like a hardcore like libertarian in that sense. And though I normally don't agree with libertarians at all, I will say that she had a pretty articulate defense of Bitcoin that I appreciated hearing. So if you want to know someone that has some interesting takes on Bitcoin in a more, positive direction, I would recommend listening to Aria DeMezzo talk about it. But overall, yeah, I think those are all super valid questions. And I did just want to say we appreciate you too, Stephen. Thank you so much for the super chat. I was kind of out of breath when I got that, so I apologize for not properly saying how much we appreciate you, but we genuinely do. It really does help the show, especially with the van kind of content. We save a lot of pretty much all the money we make here, so that's all going to go towards bigger and better things in the near future. So yeah, really genuinely appreciate that, and appreciate you too, Stephen. Did get another super chat. Looks like from Matt Ocelot God. Please drive your van to a Line 3 protest. These end bridges destroying my home state and the world too. The indigenous resistance needs help. Thank you so much for the super chat, Matt Ocelot. And that is absolutely the kind of protest that we're going to be going to in our van to document and to take part in. Not just to document. We also plan on participating in a lot of these protests. And if you guys aren't aware, the Line 3 protests and Enbridge, or the Line 3 protests of Enbridge is basically protesting these natural gas pipelines that are plowing through many communities across the country, including in like Minnesota, through native indigenous land. And it's totally unacceptable. It's totally disgusting, not just obviously because of the fact that they're invading these people's land and building these pipelines on it, but because of the fact that these pipelines frequently spill. It's a massive natural disaster waiting to happen. It inevitably does break and results in massive spillage and destruction of communities. And also it poisons the water, poisons the environment. It's so fucked up. And it's something that we absolutely plan to both document the resistance of and participate in the resistance of. So thank you so much for the super chat and the suggestion. That's absolutely some of the content you're going to be seeing coming up soon.
Yeah, thank you for that. It does look like we just got another chat from the audience. Darius1, I'm just a dirty socialdem from Finland, but I'm in solidarity with American left. Don't you wish you could debate actual leftist ideas instead of fight for crumbs? Love your show. Cheers. Yeah, don't we wish? Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in from fucking Finland. God knows Gavin and I don't know a damn thing about Finnish politics, even though we should, because of leftist solidarity. But I'm imagining that, if you're a socialdem from Finland, our ideas probably match up a lot, and we're glad and hopeful that you continue to enjoy the pod over here. Thanks so much for listening. And yeah, we definitely are over fighting for crumbs, and we're ready for a big piece of the pie.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I would probably describe myself as a little bit further to the left than social democrat. But that being said, the Scandinavian countries certainly have figured things out to a far greater extent than we have over here in America and other hyper capitalist countries. So yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much to be learned from the social democracy of a place like Finland, and would absolutely love to learn more about their systems. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in from Finland. Really glad you're enjoying the show, Darius1. Thank you so much for the super chat, and yeah, really appreciate that.
Right on. Do we have anything left in the Patreon question? Hey, up guys, your English viewer here. Was wondering what your opinions are on the other countries' left-wing YouTube media, and if we can't mutually support each other. As we all know, the algorithm is a motherfucker, and if we all try to grow it and reach other countries, then that will help reach more people within our own countries. Radicals need to support each other. The working class need to support each other. So thought I'd send you a link to one British radical YouTuber as an act of solidarity. Good luck and keep growing. Yeah, thanks to you, man. That kind of feeds really well from that point that Darius was just making, talking about how he was tuning in from Finland. Yeah, occasionally Gavin and I do listen to podcasts from across the pond, bigger podcasts, right? We should probably look for some smaller ones. I remember one of the first podcasts that I got obsessed with from overseas was when Russell Brand debuted Under the Skin, which I thought was really incredible. But obviously that's a dude with, a tremendous platform. And I know Michael Brooks had a couple of really good guests from overseas on a lot when I would listen to him, but just have not done the job that I should have or should be doing with building that solidarity overseas, because I do think that that's important. Oftentimes, as a landlocked YouTuber in Kansas City, Missouri, America, we sort of forget about that. But yeah, could definitely do a better job reaching out to some more international commentators and just getting a better, fresher perspective. As an American, obviously we're fucking narcissists and put our own country first. It all fucking stops. So yeah, we need to do a better job of breaking that habit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good answer, Zach. And thank you so much for the question, Tom. Really appreciate you tuning in from across the pond. And yeah, we would love to talk to some more lefty YouTubers from around the world and certainly from the UK. To be honest, one of the big things that I feel like viewers don't think about as much, but that us YouTubers do think about a lot, which prevents these kind of collaborations, is the time zone difference. It genuinely can be difficult to schedule those kind of things, just given how dramatic the time difference is. And that's something we've encountered when we have talked to people from other countries, like Juan Passarelli, the journalist from Australia, for example, who we chatted with. That was definitely a little bit harder to put together just because of the time difference, like I said. So, that is a little bit challenging, but obviously that's not an excuse to not talk to other YouTubers from around the world that are on the left. And we certainly will make an effort to do that. I think there could be some really, really fascinating conversations broached by that approach. And again, just kind of trying to reconcile the different left movements around the world in a conversation about how to overall succeed. Because yeah, obviously this is a global issue that we're talking about. The fight for liberation, the movement for equality, etc. These things aren't occurring in a vacuum. Far from it, especially given how much influence the United States in particular has on all countries around the world. It's not like you can just opt out of thinking about or discussing it. It really does affect everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Did want to get to a couple of these super chats. Thanks so much. Would you guys talk to Caleb Maupin? I mean, I don't really have a principled opposition to talking to most people, but are you going to see us interview Caleb Maupin soon? Not unless Gavin tells you he really fucking wants to in a second.
Yeah, I don't really listen to Caleb all that much, but I guess I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it either. But yeah, thanks so much for the super chat. We'll see about getting something like that put together at some point in the future. But yeah, really, really genuinely appreciate it.
I don't know much about the guy, to be honest. That's just a name that I've seen before.
Yeah, I don't really know a ton about him either. He seems generally like a pretty smart guy though, so I don't want to shit on anyone. But yeah, we'll see about that. Thanks, Duncan, for the $5. Love your show. Wondering if you paid any attention to the Canadian election and if you had any thoughts. Well, I know that the candidate and the party that Bernie Sanders endorsed came up short, unfortunately. So I was hoping that they would pull out a win. Although I think it was pretty obvious what was going to happen, that Trudeau would remain in power. So yeah, there we go. Third term for Trudeau. Definitely interesting. Obviously, Trudeau's basically just like a neoliberal Obama type. So,
yeah. Trudeau's a piece of shit. He's not something to look up to like a lot of people pretend he is. Oh God, if we could only have Justin Trudeau. That was a big hobby of liberals during the Trump era. They've kind of subsided because he's been in blackface like a million fucking times and is completely unacceptable and disgusting. But the fact that hasn't dampened his political fucking career in any way is real telling. And Canada's not some woke society, right? People don't give a shit about that apparently. I mean, same as you could say with America, right? We're sure shit further from a woke society than even Canada. But yeah, again, it's kind of like Gavin and I have always had our plate full with commenting on American politics, the shit that we kind of feel like we have a reason to talk about, kind of like Gavin was talking about earlier. We try and keep our conversations pretty American centric, pretty commenting on the fucking shit that our taxpayer dollars are perpetuating. But that's not to say we don't pay attention and keep an eye on the other things. It's just that Gavin and I try and make sure that we're only talking about shit that we really know about on our podcast. And I always feel like a fucking dumbass whenever I'm trying to pontificate about like Canadian politics, because I'm only like 75% confident I know how their like fucking parliamentary system works, and is it the same as fucking England? I think it's mostly the same, but I get fucking hairy about that shit. It's the same when I try and follow French politics. I'm like, how does this fucking work again? I don't want to sound like an idiot on there, so that's why we stay away from that kind of shit, because I'm not an expert in it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Obviously, if you guys have any more questions, put them in the chat. We have like one more patron question. So again, we'll probably wrap up the stream here in the next 10, 20 minutes or so. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in now so we can react to them. But before we do, let's pull up this final patron question. Thank you, Christopher, for the very long chat. I'll try to get through this as quick as possible. Well, I can use a bit of help, kiddos. I've been trying to talk about whatever to a few shows to result in zero traction. Even the Punch Up Pod didn't reply to their latest stream. I was hoping to be more ready before I hit up the big YouTube kids. We've spoken in the past months ago, maybe watched a few things. I understand I'm not perfect or ready for the job of POTUS today, but I need a helping hand, willing to put myself through a lot more hell to fight for the people, but I got to have some good interactions. This is going to be a long journey, and if some cats want to help support or train or adopt me or let loose on the corrupt, great. So yeah, I was wondering if you guys wanted to chat and maybe get some people excited to jump on this vehicle, because I'm all out of juice. Often I wonder why we are still, why I even still try after nothing but hell from 2012 to 2020. I shouldn't have had those bad thoughts, and I'm sure there are lots of people to chat with. Some people do, just to be fair. Yeah, not entirely stupid, but I have no one to bounce my ideas off of. I can't even get any good comments. Well, Christopher, I'm sorry that you can't get any good comments or engagement. If your ambition is genuinely to run for president, then I think that that's going to be a very uphill battle for just a normal person. I might, recommend trying some mutual aid or local volunteering at the local level to really make a difference. Again, that's just going to be such a uphill battle. But if you do want to get into politics, maybe run for a, city council seat or something in the meantime to help build your name recognition, and that way maybe more people will interview you and that sort of thing. So yeah, sorry about that. We're definitely going to be trying to do more viewer engagement with our audience in the form of like call-ins. So hopefully in the next few months or so we can figure that out and get people calling in. So maybe you can call in at some point and let us know about your ideas, but really appreciate this the question and the support.
Yeah, I did want to get to this super chat real quick. Stein never won a race either and did worse than Hawkins in her governor race. Zach's smearing of him was completely unfounded. Howie is a socialist. So I did not smear Howie Hawkins. I never said anything about the guy that wasn't true. He has lost every single race that he's participated in. I also never endorsed Jill Stein. I never voted for her. I think she's got a lot better. I think she's a lot better at articulating her ideas than Howie Hawkins. I stand by that. I think Angela Walker was a better pick for presidential run. I think she's more interesting. I think she's more rememberable. I think that Howie Hawkins is a forgettable candidate. That's why he performed terribly. But that being said, I'm not trying to come out and be like this fucking dick, right? Like, he is a socialist, right? He's done good things. But the problem is that if we're really on the crunch time, right? Like the Greens love to say, vote like your life depends on it, because it does. Like, this was just a terrible decision. It was never going to lead to any kind of revolution. It wasn't ever going to happen for the Greens like this. That's all I said. I was like, don't fucking put your hopes in this, because it's literally going to perform worse than we did last time, and we don't have the fucking time to be moving backward. That's all I said.
Yeah, no shade to Howie Hawkins. I mean, he was one of the first guests ever on our show. And when it comes to just the substance of his ideas, I think he's on point pretty much every time. I 100% agreed with the Green Party's eco-socialist platform. But yeah, like you said, Zach, I just don't really think he was quite inspiring enough to be the head of a ticket. And generally what frustrates me about the Green Party is the fact that like they don't seem to reckon with the reality of the fact that to get to a point of viability in an election, especially a presidential election, you ain't going to do it without getting on the debate stage. And they need to nominate a candidate that's at least capable of getting on the debate stage. So obviously, it's not like they're just choosing their candidates, although Some people said that it kind of appeared that way with Howie. So yeah, no shade to Howie Hawkins. Generally, what we've tried to articulate on the show is just that if a Green Party candidate is going to be successful, it's going to need to be someone that's going to be able to get on the debate stage and really like make a scene, force the media to cover their candidacy, really make some noise. And again, Howie Hawkins is just not that guy. He's a really serious person. But it doesn't really seem like he had it in him to take on the establishment in the way that would be necessary to win an election or get on the debate stage or even get 5%. So, well, I certainly understand what you're saying, and it's true that Stein never won a race either. I just think that she was a little bit better of a candidate. She inspired more people, etc. But yeah, not trying to like shit on Howie Hawkins or whatever.
And she did perform way better than him in the presidential election. That's just a fact. So,
Does look like we got another super chat from Bookworm. Thank you so much for the $4.99 Bookworm skates. Why are leftists so nuanced when it comes to justifying violence against fascists, but not censorship against anti-vaxxers? Censorship is just a tactic. That's a good question, and it really does bother me about how much of the left, especially the online left, is seemingly totally okay with censorship these days. I definitely am a pro-vax person myself. That being said, I don't think anyone should be censored, even if they're, spouting absolute insanity, absolute pseudoscience. I don't think it's grounds to censor anyone, especially because we already have corporate media and, increasingly corporate internet, which is desperately trying to censor people for any reasons. So now this anti-vax stuff is just giving them a reason to basically broad brush censor whole swaths of the internet. And again, that's not a precedent that I'm comfortable with, regardless of how pro-vax I may be myself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't stand for censorship of anything, really. Like we were talking about this last night with Afeni, right? We're pretty much free speech absolutists over here on the actual left, because we know that anytime you give people the power to fucking silence you, it will be used to fuck you in the left, right? So I don't and also it just makes people more and more skeptical of whatever your fucking idea is. It's like, don't challenge me. Then, I'm going to just fucking end the conversation, right? Like, I don't like that instinct, right? I think that if you have the fucking nuts, right? If you have the winning hand, which I, would vote as the vaccine, right? Then you should fucking put that up against anybody's argument, right? And if you can't do that, then you need to do, you need to be open to changing your mind, whatever. You look for holes in your game, whatever. But yeah, this idea that we're all rushing to fucking censorship people or censor people, it's all fucked up, and I'm not here for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Bookworm, I totally agree that it's pretty disappointing that how many people on the left are just outwardly advocating for straight up censorship at this point, at least when it comes to misinformation in this regard, which again is just something that I'm not comfortable with. I'm just not, comfortable with it, especially because in this country, the vaccine is not mandate. You're not forced to take it. So if you're not going to force people to take it, then you have to accept the fact that people are going to be discussing it, and there's going to be conspiracy theories, and people are going to end up saying things that aren't true. Either it's we have freedom or we don't. It's one or the other, and it is what it is. So I think that that's generally how I feel about it. Again, I'm pro-vax, but I don't think anyone should be censored for talking outside of the official state narrative. There's lots of issues where we do that, that aren't medical related, but are foreign policy related, where we challenge and buck the orthodoxy, the mainstream narrative, so people are doing that in other regards. Well, I don't necessarily think it's responsible. I don't also think it's worthy of censorship. So I think basically only like direct threats of violence should be censored, or straight up libel when it's proven. But even that is notoriously hard to prove for the very reason of preserving our First Amendment rights. So yeah, that's our take on it. I know a lot of people have very intense opinions on this matter in one way or the other, but we try to keep it nuanced when it comes to that stuff here at the Vanguard.
Yeah, if you're so afraid of other people, like if you're so unconfident in your view that you can't argue it with other people, right? I don't really trust that view. I don't trust that viewpoint. I'm confident enough in my views that I'll fucking argue with you, or if you beat me in the argument, I will fucking change my view, right? That is how I live my life. I think that's a good way to live it. You don't have to be like a fucking ashamed if you lose an argument, if somebody like makes a point that you didn't know before. Like, that's life. We grow, we change. I've changed my mind a million fucking times in my life, right? And you can't have those kinds of growth moments without discourse, right? So 100%.
I actually just saw this. I just wanted to address it real quick because people are talking about censorship. Eric says Status Quo was banning people today who complained about Ryan Grimm. That's actually hilarious because right before I went live, I was tuned into Status Quo and thought it was really funny the fact that because he had Ryan Grimm on and Ryan Grimm's kids were literally like in the frame of his interview, like interrupting, distracting him, like fucking going crazy. Not that I personally cared. I just thought it was hilarious. So that's funny that he was banning people for complaining about that. I definitely wouldn't have banned them, but that's definitely funny. And I did think it was a tad bit unprofessional on Ryan Grimm's part. But what you're gonna do when you got like 3 or 4 kids? You know what I'm saying? No shade. I thought it was kind of endearing too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dad, and I also kind of get it. Like, don't talk shit on people's children, or I mean, that's just a fucking one line that I think you don't cross with somebody, right? Don't talk shit on people's children. But if you were just have a complaint about Ryan Grimm himself, then I think that's fucking fair game.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, I did think it was pretty funny. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in today. Unless anyone has any questions that they desperately want to get out right now, we're probably going to sign off here. So let me shout out the patrons again. And yeah, and if anyone has any more questions, throw them in there right now and we'll quickly respond. But yeah, thanks so much to everyone supporting the show on patreon.com/the Vanguard channel. Really appreciate the support, guys. It helps make what we do possible, keeping coming at you guys pretty much daily now. So really enjoying that. We're going to be taking a bit of a break over the weekend, going on a weekend trip to Colorado. So we'll be back on Monday or Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, huge shout out to everyone supporting the show. Thanks everyone for tuning in today as well. Really enjoyed engaging with you guys, answering some questions, chatting about some stuff, and shooting some shit. Always really appreciate your guys' opinions and takes as well. Oh shit, it looks like someone says we never read their Patreon. So let me look because I don't want to miss anyone's patron question. But yeah, just give me 1 second, Zach, if you want to talk about something.
Yeah, see somebody's asking why we hate anti-vaxxers. Look, I don't hate I don't hate anti-vaxxers. We've had fucking conversations on our show where we've expressed disagreement with those people, right? But at the end of the day, I also think you have to understand that we live in a society that has absolutely zero trust of any institution, right? We've dug that grave for ourselves. For any number of reasons, people don't trust the medical establishment. One, it's a fucking cost a fortune. If anything bad happens to you and you have a side effect, you're gonna fucking have, like, there are fucking reasons to be skeptical. Gavin and I have always just come down on the side that we think the science overwhelmingly supports the vaccine, and that's why we're in favor of it. But again, it's kind of like, I don't fucking hate those people, right? I think we should have discourse with them. I want to change their mind because I fucking disagree with them, and I think the vaccine, literally the science will show you that if you have the vaccine, you are infinitely less likely to die from COVID. But anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I found that super chat. Looks like it was just added like minutes ago, like 30 minutes ago. So that's why I didn't have it ready. But here we go. The Breed Love, thank you so much for the support and the question. Are you interested in expanding your analytical lens? Will you check out Chris Martinson's crash course and have him on as a guest? Politics is the management of the system, but it's important to know how the system works. It helps explain why everything is so shitty. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for the question, Breed Love. I don't know Chris Martinson, but I'll definitely check it out, and I'd be open to having him on as a guest for sure. We get a lot of suggestions, so it's kind of hard to keep up with everyone's suggestions, but I'll definitely make a note of that right after we end the stream, and I'll check out his stuff and see if we think you would have a good conversation with him. But yeah, of course, we're interested in expanding our analytical lens. We're always trying to absorb new information and perspectives and improve our commentary to the best extent as a result. So yeah, thank you so much for the suggestion. I'll definitely check out Crash Course. Are you aware of Chris Martinson or Crash Course, Zach?
I'm not, but kind of just to echo your sentiment, right? We have a lot of people that we want to talk to. We're constantly reaching out to people, trying to work out things with our schedules, things like that. But of course, we'll add him to our list. Gavin and I have a doc where we keep everybody who we feasibly love to speak to, and we just kind of rotate through that all the time, trying to book guests, make that happen. So definitely we'll add that to the list. Check out his stuff. Appreciate everybody for commenting along, chatting. Patreon guys, obviously. Big shout out to you, our Vanguardians, our comrades. Everybody's a comrade. Just hit the like and subscribe button. Housekeeping for the road. But Gavin, do you want to do one final shout out to the patron?
Yeah, and real quickly, just because I see our member Robbie commented a question, what's the best place to live in Missouri? I mean, I can't speak with too much authority given that the only place I've really ever lived in Missouri is Kansas City, Missouri. So I'm definitely partial to KC Mo, and I do think it's a great city to live in. But there's a lot of beautiful parts of Missouri. It's a pretty underrated state when it comes to its natural beauty, in my opinion. Just some of the most gorgeous scenery in the country. I know it gets a bit of a bad rap. People like to shit on Missouri and call it misery, which is certainly funny. But I do like the state overall, and I do think Kansas City is a great city, and I like St. Louis too. So, if you're looking for a cheaper place to live that's still a pretty decent sized city, Kansas City or St. Louis are both good options. But yeah, thanks for the membership support, Robbie, and the question. Did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, obviously, look, Gavin and I have talked about moving a lot of places, right? We've talked about setting up the show somewhere else, or building a home base somewhere else, right? Not going to happen, though, because I feel like there's no better place than Kansas City for a myriad of reasons. One, cheap as fuck to live here, guys. Like, you don't have to spend, I mean, obviously, for the impoverished people, there are problems here. I don't want to portray it like it's fantasy land. This is still America. Okay, it's fucked up. But assuming that the whole country's fucked up, that those problems are appearing less here than they are in places like New York, LA, Chicago, right? So the housing problems, for people who are, in the working class, you have options, which is great. A lot of good local businesses that are able to stay open here. Gavin and I fucking hate chains. So if you'd like local small businesses and you're like, where the fuck are all of them? The only ones that are really surviving are in little bastions like this in the Midwest, it seems like. So, we're holding it down for them here. But yeah, it's a great place to live. I'm partial to Kansas City over St. Louis. Don't love St. Louis as much. Don't recommend you live there. Don't recommend you move here either, because I like it small. But anyway, thanks for everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, that's funny. And someone says I lived in Springfield. It's a meth capital. That's actually funny, because I was just talking to someone yesterday who recently moved to Kansas City, and I'm pretty sure they said they were from Springfield, and I was like, oh, that's cool, and they were like, yeah, no, it's not. So just reminded me of that, but definitely a funny comment. Definitely KC Royals fans for sure. Absolutely. But yeah, we probably got to go, guys. Do have some other stuff to get done today. And yeah, thanks so much. Hey guys, I'm an old fuck from Italy, anti-fascist to the core. Really appreciate your content. Well, thanks so much, Tal. Glad you're appreciating the show. We really appreciate you tuning in and commenting. But yeah, we got to get going, guys. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks so much to our patrons. Really appreciate it. It keeps the show going and is funding our future content involving the van. So we're super excited to get that on the road. But yeah, if you guys want to join the Patreon, the link is in the description. It's the best way to support the show. You guys get access to the Discord server and priority on the next one of these. So you know the drill. It's the top link in the description if you want to join. If not, just hit that subscribe button and that like button. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Bye, guys.